We're back, y'all. I've been on the edge of my seat waiting for this chapter of One Piece. After a month-long break, I think all of us manga fans have been going crazy recently. From getting the new bounties of Luffy, Law, and Kid, to the amazing introduction of Admiral Greenbull, to the legendary reveal of the 4 new Yonko, all in the last chapter, I think it's fair to say that Chapter 1054 has been one of the most anticipated chapters in recent time. This is my first time doing a manga review, which is fitting for a chapter this legendary, so if you enjoy this new content, be sure to hit the like button, and if you really like me, subscribe as well. Also leave a comment about what you thought of this chapter. Lastly, follow me on my social media pages and join the Discord. Let's get this community growing up the wazoo. And with that, I'm sorry. And with that, let's get to it. The chapter is called Flame Emperor, something that we'll soon realize is referencing a certain fire user we all know and love. We start with an absolutely beautiful color spread of the new 4 Emperors. I especially like how Buggy looks. I just think his eye color looks cool in this panel, and he looks absolutely maniacal with his tongue sticking out. In the Flower Capital, the post-Kaido defeat party is still running rampant. As it goes on, we see some of the samurai talking about how they can't trouble Luffy and the others with quote-unquote this, obviously referring to the immensely powerful Admiral slowly approaching the capital. We see Greenbull talk about the ability to sway others and how one doesn't see that often. While he's most likely talking about Luffy, what's interesting is he could also be talking about Buggy as well. Similar to Luffy, Buggy is one of the few characters able to sway people to his side. We see this in Impel Down, like Buggy does this all the time. We then see standing before Greenbull is Denjiro, Raizo, Kawamatsu, Inuarashi, Nekomamushi, and Shinobu, clearly being there to stop the Admiral. Greenbull tells them to buzz off before they're seemingly defeated, and Raizo and Denjiro discuss how he's a marine who is one of Luffy's overseas enemies. Greenbull then berates the samurai, questioning if they even know how the outside world works, as he views the celestial dragon as gods, and any country that doesn't have ties to them, and the world government has no standing. This seemingly confirms that Greenbull is going to end up being a true blue villain similar to Akainu, almost like a mini version of the Fleet Admiral. What's one of my favorite panels of the chapter, Greenbull uses his flexing forest muscle ability, summoning a bunch of tree fists from the ground. Greenbull then explains that he ate the Logia forest fruit, which turns him into a forest man with a power that he describes as nature incarnate and a source of life that rivals the seas. Once again, he shit-talks Wano, claiming that it's time for the samurai to learn the truth, that hierarchies must be enforced for humanity to succeed, and that putting nations like Wano in their place is what keeps life going. He then makes a proclamation, prejudice breeds stability, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. It really seems like Greenbull is a super traditional bad guy. Continuing his spiel, Greenbull claims he will murder thousands of people in order to get Straw Hat Luffy, and at this point, Yamato comes jumping forward, claiming that every word Greenbull spouts makes them sick. They then hit Greenbull square in the head, in which Greenbull commends Yamato's Haki ability, further cementing my opinion that Yamato is the second most powerful Straw Hat member currently. Yamato states that the people of Wano have been suffering for 20 years, and they will not let Greenbull spoil their joy. Greenbull asks who this person is, and Yamato replies that they're Kaido's son. Momonosuke as a dragon then flies over, commending Yamato's words, and attempted to use a blast breath on the Admiral. However, no flames come out, showing that the new shogun of Wano is still immensely inexperienced. He shrugs it off, however, and still attacks Greenbull, claiming that he will drive him from the capital. Momonosuke shows an incredible amount of maturity here, as he proclaims that he vows no one will ever bring dread and terror to the people of Wano again. Greenbull then questions how strange a pink dragon is, and then entangles Momo with his trees. While Yamato and the samurai are about to intervene, Momonosuke says he will handle the fight and that they should stay out of it. Meaning we're about to get a Greenbull versus Momo fight, surprisingly, which honestly, I can't imagine Momo winning that, but we'll see how it goes. In the seas around Wano, we see the ship of the Redhead Pirates sailing around. Members of the crew claim that it's surreal for Luffy to be considered a Yonko at this point, Shanks himself speaking of how being back in Wano takes him back to when he was sending Oden off, and how Momo and HEEERE must be grown up by the point. Members of the Redhead Pirates such as Lucky Roo are ecstatic to see Luffy again, as he obviously is a great pirate at this point, fulfilling Shanks' request to Luffy as a kid. What's interesting is that Yasop isn't ready to see his son Usopp at this point. We don't usually get to see how Yasop thinks of his son, so to see him so worried to meet with his last family member again is rather intriguing. It honestly makes me hella hyped for the reunion of Usopp and his father. Another member of the crew claims that Kid's there too, presumably wanting to get payback on him for picking a fight with them. Shanks, looking at Luffy's new wanted poster, reminisces back to a battle his crew had with the CP9. Here we get to see the maskless Who's Who is confused as to why the Redhead Pirates are after a minor devil fruit that only turns someone rubbery. As a side note, it's interesting to see Who's Who actually always had horns on his head, it's not from his helmet. Shanks then thinks back to some of his most monumental and important moments with Luffy, the last being the moment he lost his arm. Shanks smiles, but what's interesting is that this is contrasted with some of the newer members of Shanks' crew proclaiming that Luffy is like a rampaging demon monkey. That's totally out of hand. It's interesting to see people that haven't met Luffy have this absolute fearful opinion of him, on a similar level to how characters reacted to people like Kaido and Big Mom. Shanks then proclaims that he will not be having a reunion with Luffy as of yet, and Lucky Roo reminds him that Bartolomeo's crew, a group under Luffy, put the Straw Hat mark up after burning the red-haired flag, stating that they'd be failing their duties if they just let that act slide. Shanks then takes a seat across from Ben Beckman, and in my favorite page of the entire chapter, easily, the two share a cup of sake, and Shanks confidently claims that it's about time they claim the One Piece. Holy shit, this is chilling. From how confident and calm Shanks is while making the statement, to the panel of half his face blacked out with only his scarred eye showing, Shanks looks sinister as fuck here, and it genuinely makes me excited as fuck for whatever happens to this character in the future. It's very possible that at this point Shanks might end up opposing the Straw Hats, further supporting my idea that Shanks might be above a character such as Kaido. With that, let me know in the comments what you think of this absolutely legendary scene and what it means to the future of the Redhead Pirates in One Piece. In the Navy headquarters, we see a conversation going on between Sakazuki, Kizaru, and a mysterious third Marine. Someone claims that Akainu can't let the Revolutionary Army go unchecked anymore, but the Fleet Admiral retorts that they don't have the Marines to deploy against them. What's relatively interesting is that in this conversation, they refer to the Fleet Admiral as Akainu, even if he doesn't use that name anymore, which has me believe that this is a conversation between relatively equal characters. The three then talk about Asabo, like the title of the chapter suggests, as being referred to is beginning to be referred to as Flame Emperor, and he's becoming a champion for much of the world. We then learn that all the participants of the reverie, the only one that was killed was the father of Vivi, Nefertari, Cobra. Fucking, I can't say that name right now. This is especially interesting as Cobra is one of the descendants of the founding 20 from 800 years ago, which they refer to as a great significance to the Revolutionary Army. They claim that a few hours before the assassination, the Revolutionary Army attacked the homes of the Celestial Dragons in Merijua, destroying a monument of the Defined Dragon Claw and the symbol of the World Nobles. To the world government, this is a blatant declaration of war, even with Fujitora and Greenbull being in charge of the Navy's offensive. The revolutionaries still managed to save Kuma from the Celestial Dragon's grasp. This mysterious third Marine assures them that they must have been restricted due to them fighting in the Holy Land, but Sakazuki immediately cuts them off, saying their inferiority shouldn't be excused. We then learn that Vivi also has gone missing since Cobra's death. Now I don't know where she went, but if I had to guess, I would say it definitely has to do with Imusama's targeting of Vivi. Still, I'm really excited to see where they have to go with one of my favorite female characters in the entire series, and let me know what you think in the comments about it. We then learn that this third Marine is known as Kuroma, or Tensei, and that he's the Navy Criminal Affairs Unit Chief. What's interesting is that he follows the same name scheme as the Admirals, as the name Tensei is translated to Black Horse, following the same color plus animal names all the Admirals have. This is especially weird, as this has never happened for any character that wasn't an Admiral or Admiral nominee, so I don't know why Tensei has this name as well. It's possible he was also a nominee for Admiral, or that being the Chief of Criminal Affairs warrants an Admiral level name. All in all, it's really interesting and certainly makes me want to see more of this character. We then see that Tensei is still investigating how the cases of Vivi's disappearance and Cobra's death are connected, and Sakazuki claims that Alabasta must be in chaos at the moment. Tensei mentions that their ship hasn't left the Red Port, so it's hard for anyone to come and go at this current point. Kizaru then says this must mean they can close the case on the attempted murder of Celestial Dragon St. Charlos, something we just learned now, I guess. Apparently St. Mjosgard? I can't say his name for the life of me. Excuse some sort of criminals? Honestly, I'm not sure which criminals you're talking about. If I'm missing something, let me know. But Sakazuki proclaims that in the Holy Land, the God's Knights have full jurisdiction to mediate disputes, and that since the situation is so complicated, they should just leave it to them. Tensei then correctly states that all these incidents are seemingly linked to Sabo, and that his flames of rebellion are spreading all over the world. We then learn that all 8 of the rebelling kingdoms have been inspired to stage coups, while the kings were returning home from the reverie. We then see a panel of one of these coups where the citizens rebelling are all worshipping Sabo like a god, as Tensei put it. The Marines state that his influence may be greater than Dragon's himself. This is super interesting to me, as this might imply Sabo will get a huge increase in bounty from his previous measly bounty of 602 million berries. Really weird he had that in the first place, to be honest. Kizaru then notes that Sabo's younger brother Luffy has also been dubbed an emperor. We then see one of the rebels yelling through a loudspeaker that the Flame Emperor's influence can even be felt in the pirate world, as Luffy has also upended the status quo, defeating Kaido. His last message is that right now, the times are being forced to change. Ending this chapter, we see Sakazuki looking down out to the sea, as he claims he reached Fleet Admiral in one hell of an era. He then states that he doesn't care where they try to hit them, they'll strike back and return fire on all points. Chapter end. Okay, that was one hell of a chapter. From Green Bull to Shanks to Sakazuki, there's just a plethora of positive things I can say about it. I can't wait for more information in regards to Sabo, Vivi, and Cobra, and I'm excited to see why Shanks is so confident he can find the One Piece. But that's about it. Let me know what you thought about this chapter in the comments, as I'm sure y'all have a lot to say about it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and follow me on my social media pages if you want. And with that, I will see you later.